children, and welcome back to our next instalment of the Twits. Thank you once again for all your messages, and I've loved your ideas this week. Lots of people have messaged me to say that they hope that Mugglewump and the monkeys escape. I do hope so. So let's move on to our next chapter. Oh, actually, let's just remember what happened before. Yes, we left it with Mr. and Mrs. Twit, didn't we? Had just gone off to buy some guns because the monkeys and the roly-poly bird had worked out how to save all the birds from the Twits bird pie, and they were furious. So our next chapter is called Mugglewump Has an Idea. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Twit had disappeared down the road, the monkeys all flipped back on their feet the right way up. Oh yes, I remember, because Mr. Twit had said they had to stay standing on their heads upside down, hadn't he? Quick, get the key, Mugglewump called out to the roly-poly bird, who was sitting on the roof of the house. What key? Shouted the roly-poly bird. The key to the door of our cage, cried Mugglewump. It's hanging on a nail in the workshed. That's where he always puts it. The roly-poly bird flew down and came back with the key in his beak. Mugglewump reached a hand through the bars of the cage and took the key. He put it in the lock and turned it. The door opened. All four monkeys leapt out together. We are free, cried the two little ones. Where shall we go, Dad? Where shall we hide? Don't get excited, said Mugglewump. Calm down, everybody. Before we escape from this beastly place, we have one very important thing to do. What? They asked him. We're going to turn those terrible Twits upside down. We're going to what? They cried. You must be joking, Dad. I'm not joking, Mugglewump said. We're going to turn both Mr. and Mrs. Twit upside down with their legs in the air. Don't be ridiculous, said the roly-poly bird. How can we possibly turn those two maggoty old monsters upside down? We can, cried Mugglewump. We are going to make them stand on their heads for hours and hours, perhaps forever. Let them see what it feels like for a change. How? Said the roly-poly bird. Just tell me how. Mugglewump laid his head on one side, and a tiny twinkling smile touched the corners of his mouth. Now and again, he said, but not very often, I have a brilliant idea. This is one of them. Follow me, my friends, follow me. He scampered off towards the house, and the three other monkeys and the roly-poly bird went after him. Buckets and paintbrushes, cried Mugglewump. That's what we want next. There are plenty in the workshed. Hurry up, everyone. Get a bucket and a paintbrush. Inside Mr. Twit's workshed there was an enormous barrel of hug-tight sticky glue, the stuff he used for catching birds. Fill your buckets, Mugglewump ordered. We are now going into the big house. I wonder why they need buckets full of hug-tight glue, children. Mrs. Twit had hidden the key to the front door under the mat, and Mugglewump had seen her doing it, so it was easy for them to get in. In they went, all four monkeys with their buckets of sticky glue. Then came the roly-poly bird, flying in after them, with a bucket in his beak and a brush in his claw. Next chapter is called The Great Glue Painting Begins. Oh, so that sounds like they're going to paint the glue somewhere. I still can't work out what Mugglewump's plan is. This is the living room, announced Mugglewump. the grand and glorious living room where those two fearful, frumptious freaks eat bird pie every week for supper. Please don't mention bird pie again, said the roly-poly bird. It gives me the shudders. We mustn't waste time, cried Mugglewump. Hurry up, hurry up. Now the first thing is this. I want everyone to paint sticky glue all over the ceiling. Cover it all. Smear it in every corner. Over the ceiling, they cried. Why the ceiling? Never mind why, shouted Mugglewump. Just do as you're told and don't argue. But how do we get up there? They asked. We can't reach. Monkeys can reach anywhere, shouted Mugglewump. He was in a frenzy of excitement now, waving his paintbrush and his bucket and leaping about all over the room. Come on, jump on the table, stand on the chairs, hop on each other's shoulders. Roly-Poly can do it flying. Don't stand there gaping, we have to hurry. Don't you understand that? Those terrible Twits will be back any moment, and this time they'll have guns. Get on with it, for heaven's sake, get on with it. And so the great glue painting of the ceiling began. All the other birds who'd been sitting on the roof flew in to help, carrying paintbrushes in their claws and their beaks. There were buzzards, magpies, rooks, ravens, and many more. Everyone was splashing away like mad. With so many helpers, the job was soon finished. Okay, next chapter. The carpet goes on the ceiling. What now? They all said, looking at Mugglewump. Aha, cried Mugglewump. Now for the fun. Now for the greatest upside down trick of all time. Are you ready? We're ready, said the monkeys. We're ready, said the birds. Pull out the carpet, shouted Mugglewump. Pull this huge carpet out from under the furniture and stick it on the ceiling. On the ceiling? Cried one of the small monkeys. But that's impossible, Dad. I'll stick you onto the ceiling if you don't be quiet, snapped Mugglewump. Oh my goodness, Mugglewump's getting a bit cross. He's dotty, they cried. He's balmy, he's batty, he's nutty, he's screwy, he's wacky, cried the roly-poly bird. Poor old Muggles has gone off his wump at last. Oh, do stop shouting such rubbish and give me a hand, said Mugglewump, catching hold of one corner of the carpet. Pull, you nitwits, pull! I think Mugglewump's getting really worried the Twits are going to be back any time now with those guns. The carpet was enormous. It covered the entire floor from wall to wall. Have a look at your carpet if you've got one in your house, children, and see how big they are. It had a red and gold pattern on it. It is not easy to pull an enormous carpet off the floor when the room is full of tables and chairs. Pull! Yelled Mugglewump. Pull! 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 He was like a demon hopping round the room and telling everyone what to do. But you couldn't blame him. After months and months of standing on his head with his family, he couldn't wait for the time when the terrible Twits would be doing the same thing. At least that's what he hoped. With the monkeys and the birds all pulling and puffing, the carpet was dragged off the floor and finally hoisted, that means pulled and carried, up to the ceiling. And there it stuck. All at once, the whole ceiling of the living room was carpeted in red and gold. Have a look up at your ceiling, children, and imagine if your carpet was up there. What a strange sight that would be. Right, I'm going to leave it there, children, for today. When we come back, our next chapter is going to be The Furniture Goes Up. Ooh, well, I think I can guess what that means. What do you think? See you all soon, children, and stay safe. Bye.